Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to look up the AI overview of toxic people. Just for the record, I did try to look up the AI overview of AI overview. It just showed me, it didn't even look it up the same way. I think it did Copilot or something like that for AI, for just AI, and that wasn't what I was looking for. So, okay, for toxic people, it says toxic people exhibit behaviors that are harmful to themselves and others, creating a negative and emotionally draining environment. Yes. These behaviors can range from constant now, criticism and manipulation to disrespect and undermining. Understanding these signs of a toxic person and developing strategies for dealing with them, including setting boundaries and seeking support, is crucial for maintaining healthy relationships and well-being. Now, personally, I am surprised that I've noticed these talk about basically strategies for dealing with them. And because I never give advice, I never give suggestions, I never suggest stuff like that, how to, what to, myself, because people can be dangerous. And if a person is trying to do things like set boundaries or some kind of change, it can be dangerous for them, or not, period. So, and I was always taught not to tell people that. My degrees are in psychology and sociology, so it goes way back. Anyway, so I'm not promoting these. I'm just reading these, what the AI overview states. Okay, here it says signs of a toxic person. Okay, signs of a toxic person: constant negativity. Toxic individuals often have a consistently negative outlook, complaining about everything and lacking appreciation for positive experiences. I don't know. See, I use my channels for venting, but that's so I can go on with my life and be the cheerful person I am. I'm serious. I've always used my channels just to vent, it's pressure release valve. Mainly, well, that's how I see it, is that. But I have positive experiences. I talk about those too. But I have seen people that this is a way that they get, they draw people in, is to constantly complain about, especially if it's something that other people do, just to make constant complaints, non-stop, whenever something happens. Like the more recent ones I've seen involve food delivery or some kind of delivery. It could be, it's not necessarily like restaurant delivery. It can be groceries. It can be anything. And they will complain either about the road to there, and then once they get to the let's say food, once they get to the restaurant, they complain about the people working there, or the customers there, or the parking there, something. And or they complain about the customer. The customer did this wrong. The customer didn't pay them enough. The customer. They're going to complain as much as possible, and other people will watch it, and that's the way they make money. So I should say that. Anyway, there was that constant negativity. And of course, it's in other things besides something like that. Okay, I knew a woman. She told me that all of her friends kept telling her that she was a very negative person. Well, she was in, I think, her late 40s, and she was dating and doing quite a bit of the online dating. So this was like 10, 15 years ago. I'd say 15 years ago. And she just kept having one bad experience after another. And people kept telling her it's because she's negative. No, it was because that's what it was. And once she found somebody and stopped, her life changed. So, but usually what I would say is that what they're talking about is the negative, the negative side is somehow, well, let's just move on. Okay. Manipulation. Okay, these are signs of a toxic person. Manipulation. They may use guilt trips. Okay, let's think about that. Guilt trips. Gaslighting or other tactics to control or influence others. This makes me think of these online grifters, e-beggars, charlatans. Okay, I'm inside now, and I have allergies, and apparently that's how it's going to do. Anyway, they may use guilt trips, gaslighting, or other tactics to control or influence others. What's on my mind lately are these grifters, e-beggars, the people who are online, the reaction channels are making money. But in person, yeah, I can see that too. So anyway, lack of accountability. This is something huge. I have seen this in so many things, especially in my life lately, medical, where they don't lack they do lack accountability. They just say, oh, well, let's do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. But then call them on the carpet and say, is it urgent? Must I do this really expensive test? I don't use the words, but that's what it is. And it's a human and a haw, and that's always funny. But the double talk BS, skirt around the issue, not answer a non-answer answer, when it basically shows you were thinking about money. You weren't thinking about my health. You were thinking about your pocketbook. That accountability thing is huge in stuff like that. I've seen it with online grifters. I've seen, they feel like they can say and do anything they want to, and they're not accountable for it. They're not responsible for it. I've seen one of them break the law, driving. Stop right in the middle of a road and get smart mouth, about the people around them who are honking or saying, what's going on here. You just stop right in the middle of the road because they want to check out what's, something on their their cell phone, on their account, their food delivery account, or they make a wrong turn at a red light. They make a turn on a red light to the left or to the right or to the wrong side of a road. It's a two-way. It's not a one-way. Park wrong. Park in a handicap. I wonder if they've changed the name of that. Spot, because they're just going to run in and turn the flashers on. Things like this. When no, it's not for you to do. To just to feel free to. They lack accountability. They say something's wrong with the law. If that's the case, I got to drive speed limit? Those are just suggestions. That kind of, no, they're not just suggestions. So no. Okay, emotional volatility. Their moods can swing dramatically, and they may react disproportionately to situations. Sounds kind of histrionic to me. I could be wrong. Self-centeredness, there we go. They are primarily focused on their own needs and desires, often at the expense of others. What does that sound like? Undermining others, they may try to belittle or sabotage your achievements and efforts. Okay. Boundary violations. They disregard your personal space, time, and emotions, often acting without consideration for your feelings. Okay. Strategies for dealing with toxic people. Like I said, I'm not promoting these. I'm not saying these are good or bad or anything. I'm not suggesting these. This is I'm just reading these, what the AI says. It says set boundaries, because people can be dangerous. Set boundaries. Clearly communicate your limits and expectations and enforce them consistently. Practice self-care. Prioritize your own well-being and engage in activities that help you de-stress and recharge. Limit contact. Reduce the amount of time you spend with this person, especially if their behavior is causing you distress. Seek support. Talk to a trusted friend, family members, or a therapist to process your emotions and develop coping strategies. Learn to say no. Don't hesitate to refuse requests or demands that make you feel uncomfortable or exploited. Focus on your own growth. Work on improving your emotional intelligence, communication skills, and self-esteem. Practice self-compassion. Be kind and understanding toward yourself, especially when dealing with difficult situations. Important considerations. Toxic behavior can often stem from underlying issues such as low self-esteem, mental health conditions, or past trauma. Like I said, usually when it says or, I think and/or myself. Trying to fix or change a toxic person is rarely effective and can be damaging to your own emotional well-being. I'm glad they added that in there. It's crucial to remember that their behavior is not your fault and that you have the right to protect yourself and prioritize your needs. Anyway, that's what it says about toxic people. Like I said, I'm not promoting any of those things. I'm just reading it. That's it. And let's see. Let me see what else. All right, I think that's enough. But like I said, several of these things I've seen with the online grifters, charlatans, con artists, swindlers, what other names? Flim Flam, the old Flim Flam. I never heard that. And I guess it came from my mother's or her, my parents or their parents' generation. And what else? So many names for them. Charlatans, I like that word. Yeah, but it can happen in person. So anyway, that's enough for this for now.